In this video, I will show you 6 examples of how to solve literal equations. And literal equations will have more than one variable. So just check for the variable that you need to solve for. And what we're going to do is solve for whatever variable that would be. Now in this first equation here, I'm going to solve for the letter y. So I'm just going to highlight that to kind of make it more visible. Now what I want to do is isolate the 5y term. So what I need to do is move any other terms to the other side of the equal sign. So what I'm going to start with is subtracting 10x on both sides of the equation. Now this isn't really part of the equation, it's just telling my directions. So now on the left side I will have 5y. But on the right side I have two terms that are not alike that cannot be combined, because they are different terms with different kinds of letters, or in this case, no letter. And so I'm going to have 80 minus 10x, and that is simplified because those two terms cannot be subtracted together because they're not alike. Now what I'm going to do is divide by 5 the coefficient in front of y, because I was supposed to solve for y. And I'm going to divide by 5, but make sure you divide every term on the other side of the equal sign. Now if I do that, I will have y equals, okay, now 80 divided by 5 is the number 16, and 10 divided by 5 will make that a minus 2x. So that's our first example. In the next example, I'm going to solve for the letter m. So just not to confuse you, this is not part of the equation. So if I solve for the letter m, I need to get this other term with the letter n on the other side of the equation. So I'm going to add the 5n to the other side. Now these two terms cannot be added together to make a 9n because they're not alike. So it would be a 5n plus a 4 term separated by an operation because they're not alike terms, and that will equal 2m. Now to solve for the letter m that I needed to do, I'm going to divide everything by 2. So what I will have left will be a 5 halves of n plus 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2, and that will equal the letter m. In my next example, I need to solve for the letter x. Now notice how both of these terms have the letter x. So if I'm going to solve for that x, I need to do what is called undistribute, or take the x out of both of those terms, because I can't really get rid of the a and b quite yet. So what I'm going to do is take out the x from those two terms, and what I would have left is the a and the b. Notice how that's distribution but backwards. Now I have x times this group is equal to c. My main operation with the letter x is a multiply, and so if I divide both sides by the group a minus b, I will have solved for x. Here is the next one. In this equation, solve for the letter x. So what I'm going to do is isolate the px term by subtracting the r. Now notice how the t and the r are not the same letter. So you're just going to write the negative t and subtract r, and that will equal our term px, now isolated. If I'm supposed to solve for the letter x, I need to get rid of the letter p. Since it is being multiplied by x, I will divide by p on every term to get my x isolated. So I'd have negative t divided by p minus r divided by p, and that will equal x. In my last two examples, I'm going to use an equation that you might recognize. This is the equation for I think circumference of a circle, C, circumference. So if I'm going to solve for the radius, that letter R, I notice here that I have 2 times pi times R. So since my operation is multiplication, I'm going to do division of the 2 pieces that I don't need because I want to get the R all alone. So if I divide both sides by 2 and pi, now C divided by 2 pi will equal my radius. For the last equation, distance is equal to rate times time. If I'm going to solve for the rate, if I want to get R all alone, I need to undo that rate is times the time. So I'm going to divide both sides of my equation by t. So distance divided by time is equal to the rate. Stay tuned for a word problem next.